Hey there, everybody. My name is Micah, and I'm here today to talk about the alignment of the body in relation to music and specifically vocal singing. So, when we're talking about alignment, there's one key vocabulary word that we have to know. This is the word kinesthesia. Kinesthesia is a word that refers to the feeling of movement around us and within us. So, in order to understand kinesthesia, I'm going to lead you through this exercise. This exercise is put forth by the book What Every Singer Needs to Know About the Body. It's published by Plural Publishing Inc. So if you have more questions or want more information, that book is a great resource. Highly recommend it. So they lead you through this exercise that goes like this. Take your right hand, put it above your head, and move your fingers around, move your hand around a little bit. Stay relaxed though. Sense the distance between your hand and your head and the distance between your fingers. And once you begin to feel that, move your hand downwards. And as you look at your hand, that feeling of kinesthesia goes away because your feeling of sight takes over. So once you have that feeling of kinesthesia, it's extremely important because some of the parts of the body we're going to talk about, you can't necessarily feel with your hands. And so you have to feel them with your kinesthesia. So after that, we'll dive right in. Alignment refers to 6 points of balance within your body. The first one is the atlanto-occipital joint. This is the joint that is right between your ears and holds up your entire head. This is the top vertebra of your spine, also known as the atlas, in connection with the occipital condyles of your skull. They connect and rotate to balance your head. So in order to balance your head, try a couple of exercises such as going to the different sides of your head, things like that. I have a longer video that explains all of these exercises in detail, but for now we'll move on. Next up is your thorax. When I originally heard thorax, I thought of the word Lorax, which is actually a Disney character who's orange and small and weird. But anyways, the thorax is your part of your body between the base of your neck and your lowest rib. In order to balance your thorax, it's important to get the natural curvature of your spine. A lot of people say, stand up straight, straighten your spine. But in fact, when you're talking about alignment, you need to honor the natural curvature of your spine. So once you can find that, deliver the weight of your thorax through your spine into the lower area of your spine called the lumbar vertebra. These vertebrae are larger and have larger cervical discs, which are little spongy things that support the weight of your body and allow you to bend and turn and things like that. Once we can balance the thorax, we move down to the hip joint. The hip joint is actually a lot lower than people think about it. When people say put your hands on your hips, some people will go like this. This is in fact your waist. Your hip is down here. Waist, hip, waist, hip. So when we're talking about the hip joint, we're talking about here. This is the joint you use to bow correctly. You don't bow at your waist. So when we're talking about the hip, we're talking about the weight delivered from our thorax through our hip, and then our hip delivers it either into our legs or into our sit bones. Our hip does the job of delivering that weight through our legs or through our hip bones. So in order to balance this, we have to kind of move it around and find it between our lilac crest and our greater trochanter. Make sure you body map your hip correctly. Once you've balanced your hip, you can move on to your knee joints. When we're talking about our knee joints, a lot of people know, don't lock your knees, you might pass out or fall over. So they overcorrect it by bending their knees. If you overbend your knees, then your knees are not balanced, and the weight that your hip delivers through your legs can't be properly channeled through to your feet. So we have to find a good balance between bending and locking our knees. A good way to do this is to do exactly what I'm doing. And then make your movements smaller and smaller and smaller. Do it quicker and quicker until your legs finally come to a rest. You'll find that as you do this, your body moves up and down. Find the spot where you were the tallest, and it's at that point that you will have achieved balance in your knees. It's also important to note that when you're pointing at your knee, some people point at your kneecap, but in fact your knee joint is slightly below it. Your kneecap just acts as a shield for your knee joint. So when you're bending your knees, make sure you're not imagining that you're bending at your kneecap, but your knee joint, which is below it. And finally, once we balance those, we can move on to our ankle joints. Our ankle joints are probably one of the most important because they deliver the whole weight of your body into the floor. So when we're talking about our ankle joints, it's important to note that our ankle joint is not on top of our heel. If it were on top of our heel, then all of the pressure of our entire body would be on our heel. But in fact, it's actually forward of our heel a little bit. So that allows our body to create tripods out of our feet. There are 3 points of contact in each foot. It's your heel, the right side of the ball of your foot, and the left side of the ball of your foot. And so in order to balance all 3, I'm going to rock on my feet back and forth, until my weight is evenly distributed among the tripods in my feet. Imagine your feet as kind of like a music stand. It's got 3 very clear supporters, and if you take even one off, your body becomes unbalanced, and the muscles in your leg have to make up for that, and thus creating tension in your body. Once you've balanced these 5 points, we can move on to our last point of balance, your arm structure. It's important that we do this one last because your arms attach to the rest of your body, and if the rest of your body is not balanced, when your arms are balanced, the moment you move them, they become unbalanced. So when we're balancing our arms, we need to explore the different extremities of where our arms go and how they move. It's also important to note that our arms, the muscles don't connect up here. They actually move down through our torso and connect at our sternum. So when we're trying to balance our arms and relax our muscles, don't imagine that they connect up here. They actually connect here. So when you're balancing your arms to your already balanced thorax, they should correctly balance evenly. Sometimes it helps to move them all the way up, move them all the way down, back, forth. Do what you did with your feet in finding the extremities or the extremes, and then finding the balance in between those. Now that we've balanced all the parts of our bodies, it's also important to note that our bodies have this cool trait called biotensegrity. Biotensegrity is the idea that our body is made up of very stiff, structure-like bones, but it has joints and ligaments and muscles that connect them all together that allow us to move fluidly. So it also means that if your AO joint is out of balance, it's going to affect the rest of your body. If you put pressure on a biotensegrity object, then the rest of it is pressurized. It doesn't just pressurize that one point. That's why it's so important to balance all 6 points of balance on your body. So now that we've balanced all those, you can understand what alignment is and align yourself correctly. I hope that this video has been informative and helpful. I hope that if you have any questions, you can leave a comment for me on Canvas or on YouTube. The most important part about alignment is do not fight gravity. Allow the natural form of your skeleton to embrace it. If you try to fight gravity and say, I will be balanced, it's never going to happen. You just have to allow your body to relax and find the natural form of your skeleton and allow gravity to take hold and feel supported. Anyhow, that's what alignment is. I hope this has been helpful. Thanks, and above all, keep singing.